Hi, welcome to About That, the show where we're all about explaining and expanding on the news. I'm Lauren Bird. I'm sitting in for Andrew Chang. So we're going to talk about a couple of things today, including the WNBA's first leap into Canada. But first, we want to talk to you about something that you might have seen while scrolling through TikTok.
She isn't your mom. You're adopted. You're never gonna be a part of our family.
Delilah!
Does this look familiar? Two unrelated videos cut together and playing at the same time. It's a bit baffling, right? Like, what's happening here? Where are you supposed to focus? And is this even enjoyable? So, in the spirit of our promise to explain and expand, we need to take a few minutes to just try and figure this out. What is it? And why do we keep seeing it? Clearly, we have some questions.
And I think I have some answers. But first, let's just get rid of all this.
Jackson Weaver, senior writer with CBC Entertainment News. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. So, okay, tell me, what is this?
I mean, you did a pretty good job of explaining it right off the bat, but it's essentially multiple videos on a screen at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You drank your grandson's pee?
Yeah,
Why?
I was scared.
What do you mean you were scared?
Yeah, sometimes you're scared for something.
What are you talking
sudden
about?
Accident or something, you drink the grandson's pee and it's gonna help you.
Potty mouth game is turning your mind to... Fine.
There's actually a really great essay by a writer by the name of Kaija Ainsworth, The Content Culture Crisis. She explained it as, the more our media focuses on producing sensory stimulating content, the more we search it out and begin to require it to avoid boredom. We are so overwhelmed by sensory input and wading through content sludge that we are trained into craving it. Now that essay was written last year, and that content sludge part is really where people have glommed onto to get a name for this phenomenon, which is, as you said, multiple videos on screen at the same time. But, you know, we've seen that before. You know, you've seen picture-in-picture, you've seen, you know, newscasts where maybe there's an anchor on screen describing a clip. Right. That's not really sludge content or content sludge. What that is, what we're seeing particularly on TikTok, is when you have 2 videos or maybe even 3 or 4 or 5 videos, and none of them are like related to one another.
Right, and that's so weird. Like I know like I have scrolled through Instagram while watching TV, kind of the same idea, but this is a little bit different. Like, what is really the point of this? I
mean, you just described it. When you're watching TV and you have your phone out or you have your iPad out or any other screen, that's actually a phenomenon that's been growing in popularity over the pandemic, but it's as old as iPads are, or maybe even the Nintendo Switch. It's called second screening. And it's this thing that we tend to do where we're watching something, we're getting as invested as we can get invested into something, and then we feel a little bit bored. We just need a second piece of information, piece of stimulus to keep our brain humming along, keep our brain invested in something.
You haven't switched your TV to Vert yet? No. What is the point of that? Oh, everything just fits on the screen better this way. How could that possibly be the case? Oh, how about Everything Everywhere All at Once? I haven't seen it yet. Okay, let's see how this goes. Oh. My God. What, you're zoning out already? I can switch the gameplay to something more stimulating. Please stop. How in God's name do you watch a movie like this? You mean Vertical with Subway Surfer playing underneath? Yes. I mean Vertical with Subway Surfer playing underneath. It helps me stay stimulated. What? A movie's nowhere near enough stimulation on its own.
That's a second screen because it's 2 separate screens, right? But this is built-in second screening. The purpose of sludge content is you have whatever is the main focus in an episode of Family Guy or South Park or Key and Peele skit or somebody trying to convince you of their opinion, a podcast or something like that. But then tagged onto that is just some sort of video, maybe a video game, mobile footage of a video game, or slime, ASMR stuff. You've seen that, something like squishing soap, something like that.
Yeah,
we saw some of that. And the purpose of that is just when you're watching whatever the primary thing is, if you get bored for a single second or millisecond, what normally happens is we just flip off the screen, go to the next video on TikTok. But what this is hoping you'll do is your eye instead just moves a millimeter to the left, millimeter down, wherever that second video is, to find some additional stimulus, additional input that keeps your brain motivated, that keeps you wanting to actually watch whatever's on the screen and make the algorithm think, hey, this person's actually enjoying this video.
Right. So what is research telling us about this?
There's very little research about this right now. And it's actually interesting. We talked to a number of scholars for this article that I put together a few weeks ago. And I talked to one man by the name of Gordon Pennycook. He's an expert in misinformation and also behavioral science. He looked at it and he said, I don't know what this is, but come back to me in a few months, a year, because we're going to run some tests on this. So hopefully we'll have some research that'll tell us what this means, what this is doing to us. But also, all these researchers gave me some theorizing about what this could be doing, what this could mean. And I mean, first of all, this could be something that is preying on our low attention spans, something that's been going down and down as we've gotten better and better at entertaining ourselves. But at the same time, also lowering our attention span further, because when we need constant stimulation, then our bar for what entertains us goes up and up and up.
So should we be concerned about it?
I mean, that's a really great question. This doesn't need to be a moral panic, though. This doesn't need to be something that we rehash all of our issues that we had with, when video games were a thing and people were worried that, hey, are these games making kids violent? Let's get kids off video games. That kind of panic doesn't help anyone, and it's usually not really accurate. When I talked to researchers, they did say this is something that we do need to be mindful of, that we do need to be aware of, that we do need to watch.
There might be sometimes certain types of content within this medium or within this kind of within this type that might attempt to pass dangerous messages, like something about misogyny, probably xenophobia, homophobia, and so on. That could be of concern because moderators might miss that.
You know what the Matrix wants you to be? A they, them, emo, goth, transgender, fat, Ukraine-supporting BLM rioter. And those people all think that they're rebelling. They're just doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing.
I mean, if you go back decades and decades, famous Canadian communications expert Marshall McLuhan, he was talking about the medium is the message. What content we consume, what format it's in, tells us something about our culture. This tells us that we are drastically changing how we consume media and what kind of media gets us interested, gets us invested. So if we don't even have a name for it, if we don't even recognize that it exists, there's the potential that we will be influenced in negative ways, that there's the potential that we could be swayed by it. So this isn't something that you need to be worried about necessarily, but it is something that we need to know that we're looking at. And when you're looking on your phone, swiping between videos, actually be able to key in to notice what I'm watching. Is this sludge content? Do I really want to stay watching this for much longer?
Yeah, exactly. Jackson Weaver, thanks so much. We'll keep watching.
Thanks for having me.